Your mind is untrained. That's the problem. Not your job, not your relationship, not the traffic or the bills or the chaos. Your mind runs wild and you follow it into suffering. Most people wake up and immediately let their thoughts ambush them. Worries about yesterday, dread about today, anxiety about tomorrow. They scroll, react, stress, repeat. They think they're stressed because life is hard. But the Stoics knew better. Life isn't the issue. Your mind's response to life is, Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Epictetus was born a slave. Seneca navigated political treachery and exile. Yet they found calm in chaos, not by controlling the world, but by training their minds. They developed daily music habits, simple practical disciplines that transformed how they experienced reality. This isn't motivation. Motivation fades. This is mental discipline. And discipline is what separates those who react from those who respond, those who suffer from those who endure, those who crumble from those who stand. You're about to learn 6 Stoic habits practiced by ancient philosophers, arranged in ascending order of depth and power. The first is accessible. The last is the one most people ignore, but it changes everything. Each habit builds on the previous, creating a compound effect that rewires your mind. By the end, you won't just feel better. You'll think differently. You'll be different. If you're ready to train your mind, type music, I'm ready in the comments right now. Let's begin. Habit 1. The first battle of the day happens before you leave your bed. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, started every morning by reminding himself what kind of people he'd encounter that day. The meddling, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful. He didn't do this to complain. He did it to prepare. He told himself, these people exist because they don't know better. But I do. I won't be surprised. I won't be thrown off. That's the morning mindset ritual. Before the world floods your awareness with its demands, you set your intention. You prime your mind. Here's how it works for you. When you wake up before reaching for your phone, take 60 seconds, sit on the edge of your bed, and ask yourself, what do I control today? The answer is always the same. Your thoughts, your reactions, your effort, music, everything else is outside your power. Then mentally rehearse the day ahead, not with anxiety but with clarity. If you have a difficult conversation, visualize staying calm. If you have a tedious task, commit to doing it with focus. If something goes wrong, remind yourself that obstacles don't ruin the day. Your response to obstacles does. You're not trying to predict every outcome. You're training your mind to expect resistance without being devastated by it. The Stoics called this premeditation, but it's simpler than it sounds. You're just refusing to be caught off guard by reality. Most people let the day happen to them. They wake up reactive, scroll through stress triggers, and wonder why they feel anxious before breakfast. You're doing the opposite. You're taking control of the only thing you ever had control over, your internal state. This habit is the foundation. It's accessible. It takes 1 minute and it works. When you start your day with intention instead of reaction, everything shifts. You're no longer a passenger in your own mind. You're the pilot. And once you master this, you're ready for the second habit. The one that changes how you move through your entire day. Habit 2. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there's a gap. Most people never see it. They react instantly. Anger to insult, anxiety to uncertainty, frustration to inconvenience. Stimulus meets response with no space in between. The Stoics saw that gap, and they widened it. Epictetus taught that we're not disturbed by events themselves, but by our judgments about events. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The event music is neutral. Your judgment, that person is an idiot. They disrespected me. My day is ruined. Creates the suffering. But here's the profound part. That judgment happens so fast it feels automatic. It's not. It's a habit. And habits can be changed. This is the pause practice. When something triggers you, you insert a deliberate pause before you respond. Here's the technique. Something happens. Music, you feel the surge. Anger, anxiety, frustration. Instead of immediately reacting, you do 3 things. First, you name the emotion. I'm feeling anger. Second, you take 1 deep breath, just 1. Third, you ask, is this response going to help me or hurt me? That's it, name it. Music, breathe. Question it. You're not suppressing the emotion. You're creating space around it. Music. You're reminding yourself that you have a choice. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The Stoics practiced this constantly. When insulted, they'd pause and think, does this person's opinion change who I am? No. Then why give it power? When facing setbacks, they'd pause and ask, is this obstacle truly a disaster or just inconvenient? Most people are enslaved by their immediate reactions. You're training yourself to be free. This habit builds directly on your morning mindset. You've already set your intention, and now you're protecting it throughout the day by refusing to react blindly. Master the pause, and you're no longer controlled by circumstance. You're learning self-command. Ready for the third habit. It goes deeper. Habit 3. Seneca had a habit that sounds dark but was profoundly liberating. He'd imagined losing everything he valued, his wealth, his status, his health, even his loved ones. Not to torture himself, but to prepare himself. And more importantly, to appreciate what he had while he still had it. This is negative visualization, and it's one of the most misunderstood Stoic practices. Most people avoid thinking about bad outcomes. They believe positivity means pretending nothing can go wrong. But the Stoics understood that denial doesn't prevent suffering. It amplifies it. When you refuse to consider adversity, you're blindsided when it arrives. You haven't built any mental resilience. You collapse. Negative visualization does two things. First, it removes the shock factor from hardship. If you've mentally rehearsed losing your job and then you lose your job, you're not paralyzed by panic. Music, you're prepared. You've already thought through your options. Second, it creates profound gratitude. When you imagine life without your health, your relationships, your freedom, you stop taking them for granted. You see them clearly. Here's how you practice it. Once a day, spend 2 minutes imagining a challenge you might face. Not catastrophizing, just honest consideration. What if this project fails? What if this relationship ends? What if I get sick? Then ask yourself, how would I handle this? What's within my control? You're not manifesting disaster. You're training your mind to face reality without flinching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nothing happens to any man that he is not formed by nature to bear." You're reminding yourself of your own capacity. The beauty of this habit is that it makes you both prepared for hardship and deeply grateful for the present. You're not living in fear of loss. You're living with clear eyes. This practice requires more mental discipline than the previous two. You're deliberately walking toward discomfort in your mind. But that's the point. You're training your mind to be strong, not just comfortable. And that strength, it deepens music in the fourth habit. Habit 4. Seneca ended every day with a ritual of self-examination. Before sleep, he'd review the entire day like a general reviewing a battle. What went well? Where did he fail? What could he do better tomorrow? But here's the key. He did this without self-condemnation. He wasn't beating himself up. He was learning. This is the evening reflection, and it closes the loop your morning mindset started. Most people end their day the way they started it. Scrolling, distracted, numb. Music. They carry unresolved stress into sleep. Wake up still carrying it and wonder why they feel exhausted. You're going to do something radically different. You're going to consciously process your day. Here's the practice. Before bed, take 5 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, where did I respond well today? Maybe you stayed calm during a conflict. Maybe you focused when you wanted to quit. Acknowledge it. This isn't arrogance. It's reinforcing positive behavior. Second, where did I react poorly? Maybe you snapped at someone. Maybe you wasted hours avoiding an important task. Name it clearly. No excuses, no justifications, just honest assessment. Third, what will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't vague self-improvement talk. It's specific. Tomorrow, when I feel that frustration rising, I'll use the pause practice. Tomorrow, I'll tackle the hard task first thing. Marcus Aurelius called this the view from above. Stepping outside yourself to see your own behavior objectively. You're not your mistakes. You're the person learning from them. This habit requires honesty, and honesty is harder than most people think. It's easier to avoid, distract, music, or rationalize. But the Stoics knew that growth only happens when you face yourself clearly. And here's what's powerful. When you combine this evening reflection with your morning intention, you create a feedback loop. You set your course in the morning. You navigate through the day, and you adjust at night. You're no longer drifting. You're steering. But the fifth habit, it asks even more of you. Habit 5. Seneca did something strange. Periodically, he'd sleep on the floor, eat plain bread, and wear cheap clothing. He was wealthy. He didn't have to do this. That's precisely why he did it. He called it poverty training, and it was genius. He wasn't practicing asceticism for moral superiority. He was eliminating fear. Most people are terrified of losing comfort, so they spend their entire lives protecting it. Seneca chose to voluntarily experience discomfort so that if hardship came, it wouldn't break him. He'd already proven to himself that he could endure it. This is voluntary discomfort, and it's where mental discipline becomes physical. Here's the principle. Your mind is shaped by your body's experiences. If you've never been cold, hunger, tired, or physically challenged, your mind remains fragile. The first time discomfort arrives, you panic. But if you've chosen discomfort, you've trained your mind to stay calm under pressure. Modern examples look different than Seneca's, but the principle is the same. Take a cold music shower, not because you enjoy it, but because you're teaching your mind that discomfort won't destroy you. Fast for a day. Skip a meal. Feel hunger and realize it's manageable. Exercise until it's hard. Sit in silence without your phone for 30 minutes. Sleep snorts on the floor once a week. You're not punishing yourself. You're training yourself. The Stoics understood that comfort makes you weak. Not morally weak, mentally weak. When everything is easy, your tolerance for difficulty shrinks. You become dependent on external conditions for your internal peace. But when you regularly choose challenge, you build resilience. You prove to yourself over and over that you're stronger than you think. This habit is harder than the others. It requires you to act against your immediate desires. That's why it's number 5. You needed the foundation of the first 4 to even attempt this one. But if you practice it, you become nearly unshakable because you've already faced discomfort on your terms. And that prepares you for the 6th habit. The one most people ignore, but the one that changes everything. Habit 6. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, kept a skull on his desk, not for decoration, for clarity. He reminded himself every single day that he would die. You could leave life right now, he wrote. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is memento mori. Remember, you will die. And it's the Stoic habit most people avoid because it's uncomfortable, because it feels morbid, because we'd rather pretend we have infinite time. But here's what the Stoics knew. Pretending you're immortal doesn't protect you from death. It just makes you waste your life. When you deeply internalize that your time is limited, everything changes. That petty argument suddenly meaningless. That grudge you've been holding ridiculous. That dream you've been postponing urgent. Memento mori doesn't make you depressed. It makes you awake. Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being honest. And that honesty liberated him. Here's the practice. Every morning after your mindset ritual, add one sentence. I might not see tomorrow. Not with fear, with clarity. Then ask yourself, if this were my last day, would I waste it on resentment, distraction, or cowardice? The answer is obvious. This doesn't mean living recklessly. It means living intentionally. It means treating every conversation like it might be your last with that person. It means doing your work with care because you don't know how many opportunities you'll have. It means forgiving quickly, loving openly, and refusing to delay what matters. Most people ignore this habit because it's confronting. But it's the most transformative practice in Stoicism. It makes everything else urgent. Your morning intention critical, your pause before reacting essential, your evening reflection non-negotiable. When you remember you will die, you stop wasting time pretending your suffering is permanent and your life is infinite. You live like you mean it, and that changes everything. Here's what happens when you practice all 6 habits together. You wake up and set your intention. You've taken control before the world makes demands. You move through your day, and when something triggers you, you pause. You don't react, you respond. Throughout the day, you visualize potential challenges. So when they arrive, you're not shocked. You're prepared. In the evening, you reflect. You see where you succeeded and where you stumbled. You adjust. You learn. And periodically, you choose discomfort, cold showers, fasting, physical challenge. So your mind knows it can endure more than your emotions suggest. Underlying all of it is memento mori, the awareness that your time is finite. That awareness makes your morning intention sacred. It makes your pause practice essential. It makes your evening reflection honest. It makes your voluntary discomfort purposeful. These aren't isolated techniques. They're a system. They reinforce each other. Your morning ritual prepares you for the pause. Your pause protects the intention you set. Your evening reflection sharpens both. Your voluntary discomfort builds the resilience you need for all of them. And memento mori gives them all urgency. This is the difference between an untrained mind and a trained one. An untrained mind reacts to everything. It's blown around by circumstance at the mercy of moods controlled by external events. It suffers constantly because it has no discipline. A trained mind shaped by these 6 habits operates differently. It responds instead of reacts. It prepares instead of panics. It reflects instead of repeats mistakes. It strengthens instead of softens. It lives with urgency instead of delay. The Stoics didn't develop these habits for philosophy's sake. They developed them because life demanded it. War, plague, betrayal, loss. They needed minds that could withstand reality. And so do you. The compound effect of these habits practiced daily is profound. You don't just feel better. You become someone who can't be easily shaken. And that transformation, it starts tomorrow morning. Imagine waking up tomorrow and nothing external has changed. Same job, same challenges, same music people, same chaos. But you've changed. You wake up and instead of dread, you set your intention. You know what you control, your mind, your response, your effort. You've already decided that today, no matter what happens, you'll respond with clarity instead of react with emotion. Someone insults you. You pause. You breathe. You realize their opinion doesn't define you. You let it go. A crisis emerges. You're calm. You've already visualized setbacks. You've mentally rehearsed adversity. You adapt. You solve. You move forward. The day ends. You reflect. You acknowledge where you succeeded and where you fell short. You don't spiral into shame. Music, you adjust, you grow. Tomorrow you'll be slightly better. And beneath it all, you remember your time is limited. So you don't waste it on resentment or distraction. You live with intention. You love openly. You work with purpose. This is the life the Stoics lived. Not perfect. Not free from suffering, but free from being controlled by suffering. They faced the same human struggles you face. Loss, fear, frustration, uncertainty. But they had trained minds. And their trained minds gave them inner peace that external chaos couldn't touch. You can have that too. Start tomorrow. Practice habit 1, the morning mindset ritual. 60 seconds. Set your intention. Then throughout music, the day, practice habit 2, the pause. Name the emotion, breathe. Choose your response. Add 1 habit each week. By week 6, you'll be practicing all of them. And by then, music, you won't recognize your old reactive self. You'll wonder how you ever lived without these disciplines. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They were ordinary people who committed to training their minds. Marcus Aurelius was anxious. Seneca was temperamental. Epictetus was limited by physical disability, but they chose discipline over comfort, reflection over distraction, and growth over stagnation. You have the same choice. Your mind is untrained, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Train it. If you're ready to stop being controlled by circumstance and start training your mind, leave a comment below. My mind, my control. Music, hello, hello, hey.